Is dubbed the cheapest new car in the Kenyan market right now, retailing at just about 1.23 million shillings. Now, the Renault Kwid is not a very big car compared to Kenyan standards. It's just about 800cc, but the local dealer, Simba Corporation, is very optimistic about the performance of this car in this market. For this, we are now speaking to Jonathan Santos, brand manager for Renault Kenya. You just introduced Renault Kwid into the Kenyan market and you're calling it the most affordable new car in Kenya right now. When one buys this, what exactly are they acquiring?
The idea is to bring an alternative to second-hand vehicles. We know that budget is the reason why people buy second-hand vehicles. Most of us tend to forget that these second-hand vehicles are quoted as brand new 7 or 8-year-old vehicles. So when you buy the Kwid, you get a brand new 2016 vehicle out of a showroom. So there's no service history because it hasn't been serviced before. It's not accident-free. Well, yes, it is accident-free because it hasn't had accidents. So all those arguments that people use to sell the so-called good second-hand cars, well, they apply to that even more. By buying a brand new car with 3-year warranty, 3-year or 100,000 kilometers, whichever comes first, you're buying peace of mind. We've been lucky enough to have a partnership with CSC Stanbic, and we've quoted this car as being less than 1,000 shillings a day because the total quote per month is 27,920 shillings.
This car's performed well in India in terms of sales, over 90,000 units sold in 2015. What are your expectations from the Kenyan market?
When we developed Kwid, we knew it was developed for emerging markets. But comparing India to Kenya is not fair. India is a much bigger market, and selling 90,000 units there is pretty good. In Kenya, that would never happen. We don't have such a big market. The market is not as mature. In Kenya, people know of cars. People drive cars. I mean, we sell 100,000 units per year, of which 20,000 are new. So the maturity of the market is different. So our expectation, I'm torn. On one side, I want to be optimistic, and I hope to sell 100 of these every month. On the other hand, I can understand that this is a market that is more used to, let's call them Japanese brands. So maybe my expectations won't be met. But if you ask me where do I want to go, or where do I want to be in 2 years' time, I want to sell 200 of these every month.
So you mentioned that the Kenyan market is a bit saturated with imports for second-hand cars from Japan and all of that. How easy is it going to be for you to convince customers that you have 1 million or 1.23 million Kenya shillings, you'll get a new car, yet maybe they perceive that at that price they'll get a bigger, though not new, a bigger car?
Well, that's the thing. I think that the answer to your question is in the question. We won't convince the client. The client will convince itself. And there will be two types of arguments. There'll be the rational argument, which I hope appeals to business people, which is, like we mentioned, the warranty, the reliability, fuel efficiency. I mean, this is an 800cc engine. It's rated for 25 kilometers per liter in India. We've managed to do in Kenya 21 kilometers per liter on the road. In town, running around Nairobi. I mean, our showroom is on Mombasa Road. When we go visit clients in Westlands and CBD, we average 16 kilometers per liter. So this is truly fuel efficient. So there you go. One of the aspects will be the scientific, right? Like I mentioned, also the ground clearance. Ground clearance going over speed bumps, going through the potholes. So that's something that all the, let's call them our financial departments will appreciate. Then the non-rational argument, the emotional, the way it looks, the drivability, the equipment. You know, we have Bluetooth. We have a 7-inch infotainment system. I mean, you can pair your Bluetooth. You can put your own music via USB. You can stream the music from your phone. So we expect the client to convince themselves once they weigh the both rational and emotional arguments.
Mm-hmm. Now, one will be concerned about the 800cc engine capacity. If what we see on our roads is anything to go by, certainly bigger than that. How are you going to convince Kenyans to buy this? Is it just a town car, or one can go off-road with it?
So with the Kwid, it was about managing the power-to-weight ratio. So if we know we want a fuel-saving car, if we know we're going to achieve that through a small engine, the only alternative is to reduce the weight. So this car has what we call in the industry a wet weight. So the weight, the car plus all the lubricants and the coolants and the fuel of 660 kilos. Okay, so when you actually calculate the power to weight ratio, it is better than the most common second-hand cars of this category.
Whenever you're launching a car in the new market, the concern is, after sale, where do I get the spare parts? Where do I do all that? How are you approaching that entire?
Okay, so we know for a fact that after sale will make or break any brand in Kenya. Okay, we have in the space of 2 years invested 1.7 million US dollars. Most of that has gone obviously into the facilities, but we have invested heavily in spare parts stocks, and these are genuine spare parts. So they're built by our company for our cars. They have a warranty of 1 year after you've put them on the car. And we've also invested heavily in the training. Our technical team is trained every 3 months on the newest technologies, on all the electronics, whether it's Kwid or other vehicles. So we know that this is the building block that is necessary to grow the brand. Now, as far as the spare parts availability is concerned, we are growing together with Simba Corporation, along with their network development strategy, to make sure that we reach where the population is. Okay, so our plan for 5 years is to have an outlet for our spare parts, covering 80% of the Kenyan population.
Now, you are launching this car at challenging times. New vehicle sales in Kenya are down 30% first half of this year. The reason is, of course, the high interest rates in asset financing, 24% industry average. How are you going to navigate this market, especially looking at the financing perspective?
We understand that. That is why we have 2 different types of target markets. Ideally, should the market improve, should the interest rates become more favorable, we can definitely approach, let's call it a wider audience. But we know that today we have to focus on companies. We have to focus on so many companies that have fleets of saloon cars that cost triple of this, use probably double or triple the fuel to go from point A to point B. So we want to appeal with companies clearly for the more rational arguments. Why spend 3 million to buy a perfectly good, perfectly modern saloon car if you can buy something for almost a third of the price?